Yep, we start the day immediately with a best of 5
It's
series.
gonna be a long day,
It's
Abstract.
gonna be a long day. We've got the Giants on the opposite side with Flash SG and the potential Giant Slayers from the side of Absolute Zero, because we saw that in the Challenger stage, Absolute Zero did take one game, which in turn became one series against Flash SG.
Yep.
Didn't turn out too well in the upper brackets though.
Yeah, but apart from that, I also want to talk more about the draft abstract. Just take a look. Zay's already respecting ban the 1-1 away. Vaxes as well. These are very abnormal bans coming out from Team Flash. Feels like they've been doing a lot of homework against Absolute Zero.
Yep. So with the Lucas 1-1 and the Boxer being taken away from Coach Z's side, well, for Absolute Zero, at this point in time, they're looking at the Phovias, the Harif, and very potentially a chip. I'm not too sure about the, I guess, JPL's ideas of how he will play a chip and if whether he's proficient with the chip. At this point in time, so far, we have been seeing a lot more. This current meta doesn't really allow JPL to play his signature heroes, such as the Joe, the Grog on the Jazz, perhaps even Jawhead. We haven't really even seen the Jawhead for most of the season.
Yep, exciting about this first pick. I think the reason why he's not being able to secure these heroes that he's well known is because right now Kalias is so potent. If you notice, it's like very high percentage that you get a Kalia first pick in the blue side, right? Because the value that she offers is actually quite immense. She's like a combination of a Jawhead, and at the same time, you can also heal the rest of your team.
Yes.
And it's a massive pick kind of composition that you can also convert into a Clash dive composition because of her mobility. I think it offers a lot more as compared to a Cho.
Now, aside from that, we have constantly been looking and seeing the fact that Hayabusa is coming in from coming in from either R1, R2 or B2, B3. As such, we've got the Hayabusas being picked out right here from the side of AZ. They have also supplemented with a Badang. Team Flash, though, at this point in time, they're gonna have to really consider what are the current heroes that's available for them. Normally, you would want to go for a Jusin pickup as well as a Hayabusa. But because of the Hayabusa already taken away from AZ, there is a possibility that they would look at some other assassin heroes, such as a Ling or perhaps a Fanny, since none of these has been banned out.
Yep.
But I think that they will want to reserve these two heroes for the second phase.
I personally feel that Ling is a better suit here for the side of Team Flash, because if you go for a Fanny, you already get countered by the Badang. The Hayabusa is there to also counter that as well. So Team Flash opt to secure Vanix, and also I believe that should be a Ken Hilda, but it could also go both ways, right? We've seen Bedenta on the Kalia EXP lane. That could also potentially happen.
Yeah, so knowing Team Flash, I would like to believe is more likely a Hilda on the XP.
Yeah, seems like that.
Yeah, Kalia on the roam at this point. So the final pick for AZ, they have decided to double down onto the Farsa, in which case they will be playing more on a death ball kind of situation. They have the Badang likely as an EXP or a roam, actually really depends on them, and then supplement that with a Farsa that can really rain from the above.
Yeah, it should be a Badang roam, in my opinion, coming up from side Absolute Zero. But mind you, these are very strong picks from the red side, because that's the power of the red side, right? Being able to respond to how Team Flash wants to pick, and especially right now, your first pick has always been a Kalia, especially when you're running out ban slots, right? If you ban away the Kalia, you're basically opening up yourself to, for example, a Loi, a Phobias, which is things that you don't really want to give to the enemy team. So yeah, I feel like Team Flash is definitely suffering just a little bit in the blue side. So I'm looking forward to the next game, whether they can actually get the red side. That's where they really shine.
Now, I really like what AZ is drafting out for themselves, because they actually left the rover to be on the second phase of the picking phase. So this is actually pretty important for AZ and kind of scary for Team Flash. So they have no choice. They have to ban out the Franco. They have absolutely no choice. But on the flip side, banning out of Franco may actually work out for Team Flash because they might very potentially be looking out for a Ling pick. And if you have a Franco on the opposite side, you kind of have a little bit of a problem dealing with that.
Yeah, it feels like a respect ban as well, Abstract. So I think it serves both of this, both ways. You want to respect ban that Franco away, opens up for that link, potential link. There you go. Joy taken away from the side of Absolute Zero. You've seen Hades very strong and that Joy, especially when you face up against a Pharsa, you have the potential chase, you can dive her and when she goes into Feather Airstrike, so it's a wise ban. So now we're anticipating a link coming out from Team Flash. So Absolute Zero, what is their pick? How are they going to counteract against this link?
Very likely they will want to play in the early stages of the game. I would normally say perhaps a Bruno will be great in the gold lane, but perhaps not, because I think that they will want to pick up one of these meta picks with Granger currently still available onto the board. Since 1-1 is no longer available, I think that Granger is probably going to be the next best pick.
Maybe you can also go for the EXP laner here from the side of Absolute Zero. Don't really need to show your hands in terms of the gold laner first. But yeah, Granger is going to get taken away by the side of Team Flash. Now the gold lane pool is really quite limited. There's still the Irithel, or you can go for the Bruno. Bruno, in my opinion, actually really strong as a lane bully, especially when you're going up against a Moskov. You have a stronger early game. You have a earlier potential power spike, because once you secure the Heart's Claws, you're really online right now. Whereas for the Moskov, you need more. You need like the Corrosive Scythe, you need the Golden Staff, and the Demon Hunter Sword. That's when you really truly come online, the trinity of the attack speed items.
So with the current pickups of AZ, I do like the fact that the Bruno is the blind pick. So they already have a pretty decent lane coming in between the gold laners, but it also allows them to play a little bit more into the early stages in preparation for a potential Ling pick. This way they will be able to deal with the Ling in the early stages and not allow the Ling to go too out of control.
Yep, there's also a Suyo that I was just reminded about. Selena coming out from the side of Kurt. Okay, this is Team Flash. Whenever they go for a Selena pick, I really have doubts about it, because I'm never a big fan of Selenas, especially in the mid. You're sacrificing a little bit too much magic damage in order for a more pick composition like this. And Team Flash, you know, sometimes they kind of forget their playstyle halfway through. They will just start doing freestyle, and they usually get hurt after that. But AZ will conclude this draft with a high loss. This is a very strong composition coming off from Absolute Zero. Team Flash, on the other hand, if they really want to make this draft work, they have to be creative with their angles.
Very beefy setup in the early stages, given how Hylos is really tanky. And let's not forget about the Ring of Retribution, or rather the Ring of Punishment, that deals very good DOT damage in the early stages. You put that together with a Badang, put that with a Bruno, you put that with a Pharsa. They generally bruise the enemies well enough for the Hayabusa to spring into action and take all of these kills.
Not only just that, the Glorious Pathway also slows people down when they're trying to get out of the Feather Airstrike. So this is a very solid draft coming out from Absolute Zero. And like what I mentioned, Team Flash really has to be really creative in how they want to pick their engage. They really cannot just dive like a Minotaur into a fight, right? You really have to be smart about this.
They're going once again with the fast 3 take for the jungler, which means that they will put a lot more members over to the orange buff. This way the Suyo clears it fast, while the Roamer starts up the purple buff and do some very initial damage. It will be a very good choice to do that if they have a Roamer that actually deals very early and good damage at level 1, which is Kalia. Kalia does do that very well. As a matter of fact, you can see that Hades has already infiltrated the enemy's jungle.
A bit of a fight happening in the mid lane. Kurt TZ lands a stun onto Nan. And you're right? Flash SG definitely has a stronger early game. They can potentially seek to abuse it, right? Selena has a power spike at level 2. Right now, the Kalia also hits his power spike. Suyo is already activated online, has his ultimate already ready to fight, especially when Nan still level 3, needs a level 4 for the Shadow Q to come online.
Yep, that's the difference. That's the disparity between Fast 3 and a standard jungle rotation, right? So this way, unfortunately though, I would say that Flash did not really manage to make full use of the Fast 3, because they didn't really manage to do any damage, or didn't manage to get themselves any form of kills. Even if it comes down to pushing Salas back home, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, right? Because Pharsa is so mobile, but hold on a second, Hades. Slash and dash onto Vendetta. Flicker has been burned from the side of Absolute Zero. That's a good takeaway, especially when the turtle is coming up right now.
So even though we are expecting the Bruno to be a little bit more of a bully in the lane, it does definitely seem as though that the Bruno is having a lot of problems
Yeah,
against the Moscow.
Hades will be able to secure that turtle. Ken zoning out Nan. Fed the airstrike from the side of Buji. Committed. Ken on top of the first blood. Given over side of Curtizi. The terrible duo from the side of Flash strikes again.
A little bit more on the bursty early game damage from the side of Team Flash. While in the meantime, Absolute Zero is more of damage over time kind of damage. So the longer that the team fight lands, and of course, if Absolute Zero is able to split up the damage that Team Flash deals upon Absolute Zero, the better it is for Absolute Zero. In this case, this is a lot more micro for Absolute Zero when it comes down to team fights. They need to ensure that they are able to distribute damage to Rapidude, distribute damage over to Vendetta, but I don't think that it will work out too well for now because the bus is a little bit too much.
Phoenix getting ganked once again, trying to make a play out of there, would not be able to do so. Nan slices him down at the goal lane.
So, with that all said, it is relatively similar in terms of gold. Oh wait, never mind, it's not at all. 2,000 gold in the favor of Flash, and they even got quite a bit of damage up to the top.
The SOD will be able to land. Kalia, that's going to be a Tsunami Slam onto Rapidude. JPL will be able to secure that kill. A bit of a retribution coming out from the side of Flash, but like what you mentioned, that gold is 2k apart. That gold energy being absorbed by Absolute Zero is definitely something that they're trying to do.
Just get a little bit by a little bit. In terms of the energy turret, it does definitely seem as though Absolute Zero is the one that got a little bit more.
Yep, something very interesting, Abstract. Curtizi, instead of
going for
instead of going for Impure Rage or Lethal Ignition, going for the focusing mark, really a bit of a different playstyle for a mid laner.
Oh, not what I would expect. But I suppose that it makes sense if he don't want to double down into the fact that his kit is all about skill shots. So maybe in confidence is lacking in there, or maybe it's more about consistency.
I feel like it's a consistency, right? Once you land down the stun, then you can basically enable Hades. And hold on a second, Salas down low. The balls will not be able to land onto Vanix. He dashes away. Rapidude, that's a law and order. Stunning Vanix takes him down on the top lane. It's a trade and a goal lane at the same time. Tsunami Slam committed onto Vendetta. He managed to dash away. Here comes a Fist Crack as well. Trying to zone it out. Ken trying to make a play around there, but zoning the rest of the members from the side of Absolute Zero away from the purple buff.
The main thing is Absolute Zero needed to zone the rest of Team Flash away from the purple buff. They needed the purple buff. But fortunately, Nun is back into the fray. But unfortunately, he's forced to use his retribution.
Better airstrike, Nun down low. Just a little bit unfortunate for the side of Flash SG. It's still, you know, Nun securing the purple buff. That's actually huge for the Hayabusa. And now the turtle. Okay, Hades still managed to secure it. Hades still chasing out Vendetta on the bottom side, whereas Rapidude just defending and protecting, peeling for Salas Abstract.
Yeah, so I do like the direction that Team Flash is going for. They want to ensure that Nun is out of the picture, even though he's 3 levels behind.
There you go. Salas will be free kicking right here. Glorious Pathway trying to allow the members from the side Absolute Zero to run away. But then again, Salas will go down. Feather airstrike committed by the side of Buji, zoning. But Flash has one thing in mind. They want to try to take down the turret up top, but there's not enough minions.
A little bit more until they will be able to break through the T1 turret up top. Middle lane and bottom lane is relatively untouched. As Team Flash, it does definitely seem as though they are working their ways around the map to really make sure that Vanix is having a good time and having a good lane.
Yep, finally top side turret will get taken down by the side Team Flash. Nun is starting to split push. You see Hades actually reading his mind right there, and he's gonna have to try to 1v2 right here. Try to kill from the side of Nun on top of Hades.
Not much.
Not much, because he has a damage reduction from his ultimate.
There's really not much that Absolute Zero could do over to Hades, especially in that kind of setup, right? They need a lot more members to throw bodies.
Tsunami Slam onto Vendetta right here. Vendetta, where's the ultimate? Already used. Unfortunately, the SOD will go wide, but never mind. JPL is saying, I'm the carry right now.
As now, we move on to 6 minutes into this game. We are starting the early game and no longer onto the laning phase anymore. We are already looking at roughly about 3,000 gold lead, and it does seem like we've got that 1,000 and in fact 1.8 thousand gold of that lead going over to the Moskov already. It kind of seems as though he's got his Trinity more or less, and he's pretty much insane at this point in time.
Yep, he's ready to fight. Salas, unfortunately, doesn't really have the priority already. He lost it a couple of minutes ago, and now he's already suffering. Bougie, on the other hand, the feather airstrike doesn't seem to be able to land because, like what I mentioned, Flash SG, the angles are really creative. Maybe a cute one. Get it? Get it? Cute angle. Sorry.
Acute angle is below
I'm
45
preparing,
degrees.
prepping for...
Yeah. What? O level?
No, pickup lines.
Oh.
Get it? Okay, sorry, a bit too far ahead. But you catch my point. These
I catch.
angles are really, really creative coming up on the side of Flash.
A little bit.
Sorry.
No, I
got you off guard right there. didn't
Yeah.
I?
No, I'm trying to think of witty angles.
Uh-huh.
Get it? Trying to look for witty angles.
Yeah, but it's okay. Tsunami Slam to Vendetta. Unfortunately, you don't need a lot of angles right there, but Vendetta will be able to slip on away. Nan not going to continue on in terms of the damage. Bougie zoning can once again.
The mid lane T1 of Absolute Zero is still up though. There is definitely more aggression from Team Flash the moment that they bring down the T1, but at this point in time, it's still standing up tall. You can tell that Team Flash, they really want this as much as possible. But Absolute Zero, they're doing their own due diligence in order to keep this turret ahead and afloat.
Man, I'm just looking at how Crazy is just making sure Absolute Zero is not playing MLBB, he's playing dodgeball. Have to dodge all these arrows one after another. Bougie literally sitting duck right here. And as long as Absolute Zero keeps this mid lane turret alive, they still have a chance in this game because, take a look, once Bougie starts picking up all these damage items, he's gonna hurt like a truck, like a nuclear bomb. But Salas, on the other hand, that's a Berserker 3. He's gonna pack a lot more damage right now, Abstract.
Yeah, so there is a good and there is the bad. The good thing is that they keep the T1 turret alive. The bad thing is they're splitting resources.
Yep, they're trying to force Flash right to the dive, and JPL will dove right in. Then again, Rapid Dude was the target, forced the burn, the revitalize. SOD did come, no, it's not an SOD, but the Hades range damage will be able to land. But like I said, I'm not too sure what Flash is trying to do right here. They're trying to force a dive, and here you go. That's also going to be the shadow kill. None! Getting stunned, Raiken, and get taken down by Flash.
As you can see, at this point in time, the more that Absolute Zero tries to garrison the T1 in the middle lane, the more they will start to lose from the side lanes, especially since Vanix is such a mobile marksman. He's just getting farmed from all across the board. Mark my words, Salas will be 9k in gold, and Vanix will be, what 12k?
He's been farming. But again, you ask and you shall receive, right? Look at that. Monster on 7.5k. 2k difference between the gold laners, and don't forget, technically speaking, your attack speed items are a little bit cheap, and Vanix will be able to abuse that, taking down Bougie. Vendetta will be going down next. They will be able to try to crack open the mid after a tedious siege in the mid lane.
Very close though, but now Nan is trying to look for an opportunity, but the main thing is he wants to clear the lanes.
Yeah, and right now we're back to square one, right? Like, Flash, they're trying to crack open mid, but they can't. It feels like Absolute Zero is trying to bait Team Flash into a dive that they don't want to.
I kind of like it, right? But they can't overextend themselves in the at this spot. In the meantime, that was a pretty good. And a sick SOD from the side of Vanix, right? Positioning-wise, pretty nutty. Lands himself on the 2 onto Vendetta as well as Bougie. The amount of damage they deal is just already so good.
Yeah, right now, don't forget, Flash SG, technically speaking, this can also turn into a poke composition. But hold on, that's a very nice knockout 5-man by the side of JPL, but he goes down. Vendetta Fist Crack will be able to land. Nan goes onto the Shadow Kill form, will be able to try to run on away. Unfortunately, and Vanix goes on in with the spears, just punching down Vendetta. Hades picking up that kill, and they crack open mid, and they also bring a Lord to the party.
It feels overzealous for the side of JPL to dive into 5, but hey, this is the result that we get because the Lord is marching down to the bottom lane and leaving Nan all alone to deal with this.
I think that's game, ladies and gents. Flash SG picking up game number 1. Like what I mentioned, at the very least, these acute angles, these creative angles, and don't forget, they have an early game composition. They finally put it to good use. And I'm sorry, I doubted the Selena, but I will still doubt the Selena because if that game goes on a little bit longer, Abstract, I'm not liking those odds.
I would like to say, at least for Selena, the change does definitely make it less reliant onto the Abyssal Arrow. Abyssal Arrow's stun definitely is a very big bonus if
Hmm.
you do land it, but at least when it comes down to the damage department, it's not too bad anymore. Because back then, you kind of bank everything into that one arrow.
Correct.
The moment the arrow lands, then perfect. Oh, I can do my combos.
Hmm.
But fortunately now, even if you do miss your arrows, at least you still have the trap to work with. The trap all by itself, you just slap it right onto the opponents.
Yep.
It deals a significant damage already.
Yep, and don't forget, if you notice the way that Selena builds later on, you'll be able to see the item builds. The Selena build is more on a cooldown Selena, means that I'm going to be able to land the traps, throw the arrows as much as I can, and hopefully do damage. And hopefully with a focusing mark, which is a very creative angle coming out from Curtizi, and is able to land down these stuns and also allowing the rest of the team to do even more damage to the rest of the team.
Yeah, so all in all, I gotta have to say that Team Flash, they knew what they wanted to do coming into
Yep.
this game, and I think that's the resource management is something that really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Absolute Zero, they made great choices. And I think that the decision to garrison in the middle lane is great. But I think it extended a little bit too long.
Yep.
But eventually, the T1 turret in the middle lane still went down. They knew that they can't hold on to it anymore. The more they hold on to it, the lesser farm Salas gets because they
Yeah.
are forced in that position whereby, look, everyone, we need to be
share
here. We need to
resources.
prepare for this upcoming fight.
Yeah.
And they are all five of them sharing that one lane. While
Yes.
Hades goes down bottom,
Hmm.
Vanix goes up top. Whenever they come to a fight, SOD joins in.
Yeah, it feels like, they're building a wall in the mid lane, but they forgot the sides are unprotected, right?
Yes.
So they're literally bunkering down and they forgot to protect the side waves. And of course, like what I mentioned, the sharing resources ultimately hurt them a lot because after a while you start to see that gold start to escalate. That's the reason why, I really it's like the Johnson problem, right?
Yes.
You want to be in a Johnson, you can basically drive around map, create invisible pressure, and after that slam in the last moment with perhaps your Odette. Yes, I'm talking about epic drafts right now.
Yes.
But you are losing EXP
So
riding in
much.
that car.
So much EXP.
Yes, don't do that.
Is constant. Okay, so you go on the car once. I think that's fine. You go on the car twice. It starts to ramp up.
Yep.
3, 4, 5. You will realize that
Your mid laner is like 2
Yeah.
levels ahead.
yeah,
Yeah. So don't take the car. The
It
Johnson
adds
car
up.
is a lie.
yeah. The Johnson car is technically speaking a bait.
Yeah.
Right. It's a great combo. But in the late stages, it just doesn't
Mhm.
work out, and which is why that's not a composition
Yep.
that can
Speaking
work.
about combo, like what I mentioned, what we
Combo!
highlight as well from the side Cortese on the focusing mark with the help of the glowing one and also the book, literally just helps him just regen and also slowly whittle down the rest of the team. If you notice, Buji, unfortunately, even though he has almost similar in terms of the items like the Genius one and also the glowing stuff, is unable to land the damage onto the side of Flash because Flash is always poking Absolute Zero all the way down to Absolute Zero before engaging.
I find it actually relatively interesting that
Mhm.
Buji have decided to go for the Genius Wand instead of perhaps the Lightning Truncheon. With the Lightning Truncheon, it really helps the team out to play in a teamfight scenario,
Mm.
which is probably what AZ wants to do. With the Hylos plus the Badang plus the Fasa, these trio, as long as they have gotten the EXP lane covered, that pressure is negated. These three can walk around scot-free, and they can definitely do quite a number over to the side of Team Flash, given the fact that it is a Kalia as well as a Hilda in the front lines. A Kalia requires some significant fighting potential in order to regain HP for herself
Yep.
and the team. But if you burst things down, especially for the side of Buji, I don't think that JPL will be able to see the light of the day.
Yep, Kalia is so susceptible to CCs, right? We're looking at single target stun from Rapitude. We're also looking perhaps a long duration stun coming off from Badang. But like what I mentioned, Salas wasn't able to, even by the time he secures a Berserker's Fury, the game is slightly already over, right? They lost a little bit too much real estate all across the side lanes, and that's their downfall, right? They are hunkering down the mid lane for a little bit way too long, and hopefully, in the next game, when they take a look back at this game number 1, I think they just really need to spread out just a little bit more. Like, play how they used to play, because I don't believe this is how Absolute Zero plays.
Yeah, Absolute Zero is a lot more. Maybe aggressive is not the right word, but I think that they are a team that knows their timing very well,
Mm,
but they play around their comfort
mm.
very well. So unfortunately, I think that when they do not get the Kalia, for example, I think that they lost out quite a lot of that pick-off potential most
Mm.
of the time. However, we have definitely seen Vendetta playing the Badang a couple of times, but Kalia still shines bright like a diamond.
Yep, definitely. MVP goes to Lord Vanix himself on that Moskov. Once he secures the trinity of attack speed items, the corrosive side, the golden staff, and also a Demon Hunter sword, I think it's GG for the side of Absolute Zero. And we also mentioned about how they were sieging up in the mid lane as well. Abstract, maybe just a crazy idea number one. Okay, crazy idea number one. I need a counter right here. Crazy
Okay.
idea number one. Mincitar Rome. Feels the same thing as what a Franco does.
Okay.
Hook, or even a Ruby Roam. You hook everybody right underneath into the turret. Catch. Because if you want to play Siege, this is how you want to play it. You want to pull somebody into the turret. Well, there's also a clear to try to pull you out of the turret as well.
Right. So I think that that's a really good point because as a siege comp, we kind of forgot about that as a sub win con.
Mm-hmm.
With a Fasa, it creates a zone.
Yep.
It allows the Bruno to be able to effectively take the turrets down.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually have not seen that two combo working together. So it's as though they didn't really quite explored
Yep.
that option